What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode of NAS100 analysis today. And I'm going to pick up from where I left off from last week Sunday's analysis, right? So we're going to pick up from where we left off because a number of things have taken place, and some of the stuff that I talked about in regards to the caution that we needed to take in the market, or that I needed to take in the market, was definitely solid advice, right? So we're going to go over all of that, and I'm going to share with you some of the things, some of the vibe that I've got for this coming week and how I plan to navigate the market. Okay, so just a brief recap on some of the things we talked about last week. So first things first, let me bring a level in place just to cover what we did. Okay, so I'm just putting a level right here, right? So last week, this was what we were looking at, right? And all you have to do is go back to the previous video to this video to see that this area here was what we was looking at, and this area here, none of it had taken place. Okay, none of it had taken place. And based on what I saw in regards to this trend over here, because I am still downward facing, that is the preference side that I want to be on. I want to be on the selling side of the market, supposing to the buying side of the market. That's the side I want to be on. But at the same time, I don't rule anything out in terms of where I think market is going to go or how it's going to get there. Now, before we get into all of that, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. And most importantly, I am not a financial advisor. I am not giving you financial advice, and this is purely my perspective on how I plan on navigating the market. Everything I say is not set in stone. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? Because just like most people, or 99.99999% of everyone participating in the market, we're just guessing, right? We don't know what way it's gonna go. We're just guessing, right? So that's the vibe we're going off. So obviously, if everything I've just said up to this point has put you off, then by all means, you can go and find a guy that is 100% spot on in market direction, because I'm yet to find that individual. So with that covered, we're going to get straight into it. Right? So last week was relatively a good week because I had two moves that appeared that gave me the confidence to do what I wanted to do. Okay, which was the Friday high of last week was broken over here. So this is where the Friday high was taken out. I'm just going to put a little bubble on that. It was taken out over here. Okay, and then the weekly high was taken out over here. Right? And then the highest point, so that's also part of the weekly high, these two levels were taken out, right? So if I zoom in close into this area right here, you can see the price shot past it, then came down. So this is where a lot of traders would have been misled because of the power of this move. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, there's a very good chance that this move would have got me too, right? The only thing that saved me, literally saved me, right, was that I couldn't trade on this day. So on this day, the Wednesday, I had things to do outside of basically I didn't have time to be on my phone or any of that. I was doing other things that required me to be quite focused, dealing with people as I needed to. So I couldn't even be on my phone to trade. So the whole of this day, I couldn't even participate in the market at all, right? So on the Thursday, it was just a straightforward move, right? So literally, I waited until the time roughly when I got up in the morning, which was around, say, what, 7 in the morning, 7, 8 in the morning, give or take, right? And then I just hopped in on this one. Right here. Where is it? What's the time? 9 o'clock. So I was literally on my way into the office when I did this, right? So I hopped in on this one because one thing I don't like to do is be playing around with the markets when I'm actually at work, because it's just a dumb thing to do, so I just don't do it, right? So I hopped in at this level. I set my stop to cover this this swing low over here, right? Actually, no, I set my stop to cover the low of that day, of that particular Thursday, right? So it was down here somewhere. And around halfway through the day, right, I was actually able to bring up my trailing stop quite high. So I had my trailing stop up here somewhere, right? It didn't get shaken out. It did not get shaken out, but I did get shaken out after this push to the upside because I brought my trailing stop around here on a Friday, right? So on the Friday, I brought my trailing stop up here, and naturally it went up. I saw this one. I thought it was going to go up even higher. So I moved my trailing stop to about this level over here because I thought after seeing this candle pushing up, I just naturally assumed it was going to keep pushing up. So I literally just put everything down, carried on doing what I was doing in a day, right? And then when I came back, I had been shaking out, and this was just before the end of play. So I was in for about 2 days, and we did quite well in terms of how I played the overall situation. So it was good. We had a good result, right? So now that I've given you my little weekly report as to how I navigated the situation, we're going to clean up this chart a little bit. We're just going to tidy it up, make sure it looks a little bit respectable, because there are things on here that we don't necessarily need anymore. And let me just go back into the day and let me see what I'm actually looking at, what I've actually set up, so I know. Okay, cool. So we have a major level up here where price is heading to. Okay, price is broken through that level right now. Okay, so now all I need to kind of figure out, right now is what market is going to be doing, because I am downward facing. I'm still downward facing, and actually tell 8 lie, right? I literally need to have the weekly low of last week in here as well. So the weekly low of last week, let me just have a look. So this was Friday, Thursday, Monday. Okay, cool. So that's it over here. Okay, no, I don't need that. I'll go with this one instead. Obviously, on your own charts, it's always good to have an idea where all of these things are, right? But it's just that it can get really messy, right? So I would recommend you find a much better way of getting it done. No, sorry, wrong one, wrong label. So let's do weekly low. So that's the weekly low of last week. Week just gone. And then we have the weekly high, which we got on the Friday. Up here. Weekly high. Okay, let me lock this in place. And let me lock this in place too. Okay. So these were the moves that I talked about that I made. Okay, cool. Let's get rid of all of that. All right. So once again, so this, not only is this a weekly high, this is also the Friday's high as well. This is a level that is important to us. It's really important, right? So the weekly high and the weekly low are zones that are super important to us, right? If they get broken, we need to pay attention. And like I said, they broke over here and we've got all of that, right? So if you was patient enough to watch this, you could have taken that, right? So with me, what happened was I couldn't do anything on the Wednesday, but I definitely was able to take advantage on the situation on the Thursday, right? So that was good. So last week I didn't take any L's because I only placed one trade, and that was on the Thursday, right? And with my thinking now, right, in terms of how I navigate the market, I kind of want to go with this kind of vibe moving forward, right? Where I'm only looking for, say, 1 or 2 setups a week. That's it. No more, no less, right? So that's the kind of vibe that I want to go with moving forward. It's not easy to do because FOMO plays a massive part in the world that we're in, which is the world of the markets, right? So I'm not going to turn around and say it's easy, but that is something that I definitely want to try to replicate moving forward. Just only putting down just a handful of trades per week, and I'm talking at most 2, and at the bare minimum, nothing at all, because I haven't seen my setup. Right? So this level over here, the daily low on the Friday, we want to keep an eye on that. Okay, so let's go to daily low right here. All right. Now, what's happening in this zone right now, okay, is that we have a major level on the buy side that has been broken. Major level on the buy side has been broken, so price is above that right now, and there is now another major level up here. So the major levels in question are, so the first one, this one right here, okay? So in case your internet connection is quite poor, I'll just read out the numbers for you. So it's 16,767.0. So that is the next stop for price to get to. How it gets there is how long is a piece of string. I don't know how it's going to get there, but that's just one level that I think price could go to, right? And low level, which is the level that is just broken through, that was 15,266.5, right? And the levels that we want to monitor, especially as we go into next week, is the weekly high of last week being 15,733.7, and the daily low of that Friday being 15,541.0, right? Depending on how price breaks these levels, right, will determine how we need to interact with it all. Are we going to be upwards facing, taking buys, or are we going to be downward facing, taking sells? Now, if you are going to be downward facing, taking sells, okay, there is a risky zone in this area where if you do decide to place a sell, you're going to have to be careful. Why? It's because it's above this major level right here. Okay, so this risky zone is this area right here, in my opinion, right? If I am wrong, feel free to correct me in the comment section. So that will be this area right here. Let me get rid of the borderlines on here. Get rid of that. So that would be this zone area right here, in a sense where, and the reason why I say it's dangerous is you could put in your sell because it's closed underneath, and then it will just fly down, okay? And then it's very easy for it to then push back up again to create a new higher high and break this high, weekly high over here, to continue to push to the upside to get to this level. Because I actually think it wants to go here. This is where I think price actually wants to go to this level. If it would get there or not, that's something that obviously we find out as the days move on. But in my opinion, that is what I think price is trying to do. I think price is trying to push up. So with that in mind, first we had a little trend line in this area over here that I drew out, that saw the power bullet move to the upside, okay? But however, I need to expand this trend line a little bit more. So we need to expand it because the market is dynamic, so we need to expand it. Or I need to do it like this actually. So let's just do it like this, right? And I'm going to stretch it out as far forward as possible. Okay. And then okay. So as we can see, so sorry for the silence there for a second. So as we can see right now, all right, because a lot of people aren't fans of trend lines, and I understand why, because they're so dynamic, right? They're always changing, and it can just basically just mess you up, right? So there's a lot of things you need to factor in. So I'm going to do my utmost to try to explain to you right now what I'm seeing in regards to this trend line, and then hopefully maybe when you're drawing them out, not saying that my trend lines are the best, okay, right? But when you're drawing them out, you can obviously make sure that you remove what you want to see in the market and let the market show you what it actually is doing, right? And how I like to do this to identify what I'm actually looking at is not only will I draw out the trend lines, I will highlight the areas just to make sure if the trend line has completed whatever it's doing in that trend. So for example, I'm going to put a bubble right here for the first touch on the trend line. That was that over here. And then we have a second touch on the trend line, and this is the bottom side, and that's that over here also, right? And then we have another touch up here on the trend line. Okay. And then we have another touch up here on the trend line. And the thing with trend line that I've come to realize is that they're always changing. So last week when I did the video, okay, we seemed to have a perfect trend line, right? In terms of this, the trend line over here was touching these over here. So you could say, okay, cool, it's correct. But as we've moved forward in the week, it had to be rejigged. So effectively, we've only ever had two touches on the top side and 2 touches on the bottom side. And that too may continue to evolve as we move throughout the week, right? Now, looking at how this structure is, right? And if you're looking for a downward facing, so if I'm looking for a selling opportunity in this trend line, okay, I would want price from where it is right now to fly down here, okay, right? And remember I said this is the danger zone. Why is that the danger zone? Because it's above a major buy level in corresponding to the previous high, right? And this is a very, very, very important high point right here, very important. So if price comes all the way down to the bottom of this trend line over here, okay, if it just comes down to this level right here, right, that will give me 3 touches, right? But then if it pushes up to say this zone or just above this zone, right, and then breaks down, okay, and closes below a weekly high, I've got what I'm looking for. I've got what I'm looking for. Like, it's as easy as that, right? And me saying it's as easy as that, trust me, it's not easy. Anyway, you would know. You would know if you're trading, right? It's not easy, right? But I would have gotten what I'm looking for, okay? And at the same time, there is nothing stopping this, right, from pushing up. Because effectively, right, although these moves haven't taken place yet, they haven't taken place yet, right, yeah? We could have something like this, right? We could have something like that. And yep, that's a low point. That's a swing low. So we could use this level over here as that. At which point, although it's squeezing down towards the bottom, okay, although it's squeezing down towards the bottom, at this point, should this structure that I've just drawn out, these 2 trend lines over here I've just drawn out, should they hold, right, then I wouldn't expect price to break below the weekly low. I would expect it to try to start to push up, to maybe make his way back down to this level. So just because I've got price under this, it doesn't mean that this push to the upside isn't going to happen. Okay, it's just how it starts appearing and how it starts to present itself is what will lead me to believe if I'm looking at this in a way that I'm supposed to be looking at this, or if I'm seeing what I want to see. And I never want to see what I want to see in the market. I always want to see what the market is showing me. So therefore, this is why I try my hardest to try to factor in as all the various possible scenarios market can throw at us, right, or throw at me in the market, and make sure I'm best prepared for each one. And if each time I would then bring that, I'll present my case to all of you beautiful people across the world, and then you can judge it, right? You can judge it. I'm actually improving as a trader because of all of you, right? Because you go in the comment section and you let me know if it makes sense. You let me know if I'm missing something, and you let me know if you have a counter argument to what I've just showed you. And all of that I welcome and I appreciate. Sometimes I will comment back, sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll drop a heart and a like. I love doing that, by the way, right? And that's that. But bottom line is, I'm bringing it to your attention. You guys gonna judge the work, and you're gonna let me know if it makes sense or not, right? But ultimately, based on everything I'm showing you here, I'm making decisions based off that, right? I'm making decisions based off that. And what I want for you is not for you to copy what I am telling you. You're going to need to know how to come up with all of this stuff yourself, and that actually empowers you to become a much better trader, because then you're not relying on other people telling you, oh, it's going to go up, and then you make decisions. Now, it may go right, it may go wrong. But either way, if you're the sole person making decisions based on your trades, trust me, as soon as you start getting out of every 10 trades you put in, 9 is right and 1 is wrong, trust me, you're a winner over it after that. After that, if you want to write a book, go ahead, write a book. You want to start doing YouTube, go ahead, start doing that, right? Whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do it, because you're empowered. You are empowered because you've given yourself the skill. And this is what I aim to share with you on this, on these videos that I do. It's not a strategy or a concept. You need to come up with your own strategy that is unique to you. that you understand, you know how to use, and you know how to make it work, right? Most of these people that come up with strategies, they know how to use it very well because it's their strategy. They've mastered it. You're trying to master somebody else's recipe. Now, you're not aware of all the components. There are certain parts that they miss out in their components. I mean, not because they're trying to miss it out. It's just because it's how they're explaining it, right? So they're explaining it in a way for you to get it as fast as possible, and understand it as fast as possible, which is fantastic, okay? But at the same time, there could be parts missing from that overall picture that you are unaware of, right? There could be certain conditions that will make a particular strategy void. But however, you will see the strategy appear, but not see the thing that appeared before that to make that strategy void. And you will jump in, and guess what? Poof, all your money gone, right? So that would be my recommendation. Learn how to do this stuff, right? It is hard, but it starts to get easier the more you do it, the more you analyze, the more you spend time on the markets. And most importantly, if you want to force yourself to accelerate your learning, I recommend start putting content on YouTube. Start putting content on YouTube. The world will start to straighten you out if you're making mistakes, and before you know it, you're going to start being on point. That's what I recommend. That's what I recommend. And if you start a YouTube, I will subscribe. I will follow your channel, see if I can learn anything from you, just as you're learning off me. So with all of that covered, my awesome people from all around the world, right? I want to thank you for coming over and supporting the channel and watching another episode. I really hope that you found the content that I've shared with you super useful, right? And I really hope that you will go away and apply your own analysis, speak to whoever you need to speak to make sure everything makes sense before you start putting money on plays, right? Because I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. And it's important that you know how to do this work yourself. It's super important you know how to do this work yourself, right? So with that covered, guys, I will see you on the next video. If you don't get a video from me throughout the week, you will definitely get a video from me on the Sunday. So with that covered, this is Pips and Points signing out, and I'll see you in the next video.